Let's trade it now with Charles Moon, stock strategist at Prosper Trading Academy. Very good morning to you, Charles. How are you approaching your example trade for Google this morning?
A lot more short term. This market has been touch and go and still remains that way as long as we're, saber rattling towards Iran. And this is kind of the cloud that's been hanging over the markets. Initially, it was the SCOTUS opinion with tariffs. We're still kind of dealing with the fallout, and the market's trying to digest that information that came out Friday. But right now, it seems that, things are a little bit more bearish across the board versus bullish. We've been kind of bouncing back and forth in this volatility. The VIX remains above 20, so I like keeping things short term. I'm looking at Google as a fade right now. As long as they remain below 320, I think it's a short. So I'm looking at a short dated option, March 2nd. I'm looking at the 315 puts, trying to buy them at 525 or lower. I believe the risk shouldn't be more than 50%. I think the initial gain should be taken at 50%, but if they roll over underneath 310 in the near term, they could just start breaking down to $300. We've seen a lot of these tech names kind of get the fade, the reversion plays. We used to be in a buy the dip market, and it just kind of, we were getting this little, more macro negative outlook on tech, especially with companies that have had higher CapEx expenditures. Amazon's gotten severely punished, and Google's held up relatively well. But in this environment, resistance is going to play a lot more prominent role than support will.
All right, thoughts on the market this morning? We've got the Dow almost down about 700 points. Obviously, we've got Mother Nature, we've got Iran, we've got AI disruption fears, credit risk concerns as well. I suppose it all makes sense, not to mention, obviously, with the tariff uncertainty and that remaining elevated. What are your thoughts this morning?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing. I was just looking at the financials. They're getting rolled over pretty hard today. They're probably the biggest weight on the Dow right now, with JP Morgan and Visa down quite a bit here. And we're seeing fiduciary services as well working lower. So it's a very, very broad reaction in financials. The tech concern still remains, very prominent. We saw cybersecurity names turn down on Friday on the Anthropic news. And, we're seeing a little bit more demand for precious metals and, some of these consumer staples. It's a big reason why Walmart's been such an outperformer. Apple today is showing a lot of strength, but names like Procter and Gamble, when I turn to them and I see they're up and the markets are down, it just seems like a bit of flight to safety, and the market's just looking anywhere to at least play out a hedge or to look to take opportunities. So the overhang of the markets is all about news right now. The market's going to react to news, and as long as the VIX tries to remain above 20, the buyers have to be really careful in the near term here.
Yeah, and an aggressive sell-off very much in software continues today as well. I mean, stocks down 7, 6, 8% as well, as we can see across the board. Charles, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us today. That is Charles Moon there, stock strategist at Prosper Trading Academy.